These kids and young adults, they're walking through a world that changes every 5 minutes. A world where everything is recorded and uploaded and judged and compared and filtered and stitched and duetted and canceled before lunchtime.
Welcome to the Resistance.
Hey Xers, and welcome back to Gen X Resistance. I am your host, Paul Stevens, the only man in America who still thinks the best part of Thanksgiving is that it's not Christmas. All right, so Thanksgiving week is here, which means that we have officially reached the time of the year where our blood is 40% gravy, 40% assorted desserts, and 20% why did I invite all these people here? But this is my favorite holiday, and it always has been. Thanksgiving always feels different to me. It's simple. It's real. It's the holiday that shows up in sweatpants and hands you a plate with none of the pressures of Christmas, none of the wrapping paper trauma, none of the malls, if there are any malls left, no panic buying, no fighting Karen on aisle 4 for the last air fryer. Just the big three: food, family, and football. The sacred 3 Fs. But the real reason I love it is that it's the one day that we stop running around, arguing, doom scrolling, and just say 2 simple words. Thank you. That's it. No strings attached, no expectations, just gratitude. Imagine if we did more of that. Half of the world's problems would just evaporate if people would just say thank you instead of you're wrong every 5 minutes. Twitter would collapse overnight, and honestly, that probably wouldn't be the worst thing. Now, if you're Gen X, you remember when Thanksgiving actually felt sacred. Everything was closed. If you needed to do any significant shopping, you were just out of luck. And the only things that were open were gas stations, and even then the coffee tasted like it had been brewed over a burnt piece of wood. But today, no, we have Black Friday, Brown Thursday, Cyber Monday. Wait, I think we're missing something on Tuesday, but it all just runs together anymore. The holiday creep is real. Corporate America tries to start Christmas around the time we're all still sweating through August. But this year, there are a lot more stores that are staying closed on Thanksgiving. I know our Walmarts here in town are, which is nice, a tiny glimmer of hope that maybe we're remembering what the holiday is actually about. I want to take a minute to talk about the first Thanksgiving, and not the cartoon version that we all grew up with, the real one, the messy one. And here's the truth. The first Thanksgiving looked nothing like it did today. There was no turkey mentioned. I think they had fish. Can you imagine stuffing cod? Oh my, gross. There was no cranberries out of the can, the ones that are still shaped like the can when they still come out and have all the ridges still on it. No pumpkin pie, no parades, no Dallas Cowboys. So maybe already a better time. The Pilgrims were in survival mode. Out of 102 people that came over, only 44 were still left alive by the 3rd year. That is a 58% loss. And that's not a rough year. That is apocalyptic. And let's talk logistics here. Who lands a ship in New England in November? That's just bad planning. There were warmer places. You could have kept going. I mean, Florida existed at that time. There was nice weather, plenty of coastline, no snowstorms trying to kill you immediately. But nope, they said, this icy death trap looks very promising. Still, even in all that hardship, they had a reason for coming. They wanted a chance at something better, a chance at freedom, a chance at building a life where they could worship freely, raise their families freely, and not live under somebody else's thumb. William Bradford captured all of this in his proclamation. Now, whether you believe that document is 100% accurate doesn't really matter much. It's what it symbolized. They were grateful, even in suffering. They found perspective in the middle of chaos. And that's something I have always admired about them. So let me tell you what I'm thankful for this year. I'm thankful for perspective. Perspective is one of those things that you only develop by living through hard times. And man, have we lived through some hard times. Just think about over the past few years, we survived pandemics and shutdowns and lockdowns, lost jobs, mental burnout, cultural meltdowns, political dumpster fires, and technological revolutions that are happening right in front of us. And that's a lot. We are walking history lessons at this point. Perspective reminds us that the stuff we think is a big deal usually isn't. It reminds us to zoom out. It reminds us that if we made it through everything else that we've already faced, we're probably going to survive whatever shows up tomorrow. Perspective is the difference of being overwhelmed and being grounded. And look, as Gen X, we knew a thing or two about being grounded. We grew up knowing how to handle chaos. Now, I want to add something new this year, something I didn't always think about. I'm thankful for the next generation of pilgrims, not the ones wearing the buckles on their hats, but the ones navigating this brand new world of technology, shifting social rules, identity politics, algorithm-driven culture, and constantly changing expectations. These kids and young adults, they're walking through a world that changes every 5 minutes, a world where everything is recorded and uploaded and judged and compared and filtered and stitched and duetted and canceled before lunchtime. They're trying to find identity in a world that keeps rewriting the rules. And they could use some guides, not dictators, not back in my day lectures, just guides. They need Gen X. They need us. We are the bridge generation. 1 foot analog and 1 foot in the digital world. We've seen both sides. We've lived and live both realities. We know life before smartphones and after them. We have perspective that they can't get from a YouTube short. We can pass on real-world wisdom, things that the next generation genuinely needs. How to think for yourself, how to toughen up without losing empathy, how to laugh instead of panic, how to separate reality from noise, how to stay grounded when technology wants to yank your attention in 50 different directions. See, we grew up in a world that forced us to be independent, resourceful, and adaptable. And now we get to hand some of that off to the next generation like a torch. So this year, I am thankful for the chance to help build that bridge. New pilgrims need navigation, and we've got the compass. Now, when I think about the pilgrims, the real ones, not the sanitized elementary school versions, what stands out isn't the food or the feast, it's the spirit. They lost more than half their people. They suffered disease, cold, hunger, uncertainty. Yet they still paused to express gratitude, not because life was perfect, but because gratitude was necessary. Today, we're not facing starvation in the woods of New England, but we are facing a different kind of wilderness, digital overload, cultural confusion, political fatigue, and a world that changes faster than human beings are really built for. Thanksgiving is a reminder to stop, breathe, recalibrate, and appreciate what matters. Family, health, freedom, perspective, the opportunity to guide the next generation, and the ability to keep moving forward even when the world doesn't make sense. Now, I don't know what your Thanksgiving looks like this year. Maybe your house is full and loud. Maybe it's small and quiet. Maybe you're working. Maybe you're traveling. Maybe you're just eating leftovers and watching football with your feet up. But whatever it looks like, I hope you get a moment, a real moment, where everything slows down and you feel thankful, really thankful for who you are, for who you have, and for how far you've come. Now, I'll be spending this Thanksgiving with my family. I am incredibly grateful for that. But I would love to hear what you're thankful for this year. So drop me a message, leave me a comment, send me an email. I do want to hear from you. And I also want to take a moment to give a shout out to a few other Gen X creators that I am genuinely thankful for this year. Now, these guys have been part of my journey and have helped me out more than they could possibly know. Brandon over at Gen X POV, Rad Graham, Jason Eck from the Stuck in the Middle podcast. They've all been incredibly supportive, always willing to help out, share ideas, and even shout out this show. So thank you guys. I really appreciate you. And I'm going to leave all of their links in the show notes. So if you get an opportunity, show them some love, subscribe, watch their videos, listen to their podcasts. They're amazing. All right, Xers, that is going to do it for me for this Thanksgiving episode of Gen X Resistance. You can find this podcast on all major platforms as well as YouTube, so be sure to like, subscribe, or follow. You can reach out to me by email at genxresistance@gmail.com or leave a comment on YouTube. Have a great Thanksgiving, appreciate the people around you, and remember, Gen X survived chaos before. We were built for this, and we are here to guide the next generation through it too. So until next time, I'm Paul Stevens, and I will see you in the next episode. And most importantly, stay rad, my friends.